go.
Hi, I'm Bruce Moore, Chief Executive Housing 21.
And I'm Pam Mastrantonio. I'm the Managing Director of Retirement Living.
So Pam, you're leaving Housing 21.
I am leaving.
So you're going to be the Chief Executive of South Lakes Housing?
I am, absolutely, very exciting.
But you're leaving Housing 21 in very, very safe hands and going forward. So what have been your highlights at Housing 21 as the Managing Director for Retirement Living?
Oh, there's been so many, but obviously our Helping Hands service, absolutely fantastic. I've loved that, helping so many residents, over £3.5 million a year in additional benefits, so absolutely brilliant. The performance of Retirement Living is absolutely brilliant. And of course, events like the resident conferences, always a massive highlight for me. So it's been a brilliant 8 years, but I am leaving it in safe hands, so that's absolutely brilliant. What about the future of Housing 21 then?
So Housing 21's in good hands as well. I think we've just celebrated, obviously, last year our 60th anniversary, so 61 years this year. But I think the fundamentals are really sound. Our residents are the most important thing. They're the heart of our service. Our resident satisfaction is our key driver. So without that, we are nothing. So resident satisfaction, resident performance is got to be resident-centric. But to do that, we've invested a lot in our properties. The safety of our properties, but also the design, the makeovers, investing in kitchens and bathrooms, etc. on a cycle, which put us in a really strong position. EPCC is part of that process. But for me, it's not just about the buildings, it's also about the people. Our local housing managers and the closer operations managers and the ROMs and the heads have much better service, I think, in retirement living particularly, is really, really important. So we need to carry on being people-centric, mindful of affordability. There are pressures coming up in those, and mindful of the new technologies and demands. So investing in Wi-Fi in our schemes. There's a lot happening still, but you've set us on a very strong foundation. So hopefully, with residents' feedback, we will be able to take Housing 21 forward. Retirement living will be a great place for people to live, and we're in good hands. I believe.
Definitely, absolutely. So this is obviously for the Residents Conference on tour.
Yeah.
So all that's left to say is have a fantastic time at your conference.
Yeah, and any feedback you can send to us, really greatly appreciated. So have a great conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hello, I'm Jen Davis-Dean. Some of you might know me. I've been at Housing 21 about 13 years now in various roles. But as of January this year, I'm Head of Retirement Living for the East Region. Lots of your courts I've been to over the years, and others are new to me, but I hope to see as many as possible of you over the next few months. Today, I want to give you a rundown of what I talked about at the recent resident conference that we held in Nottingham. We'll look at whether we rotate that location around the region to give as many of you the opportunity to come in person to a conference if you'd like to. But in the meantime, we didn't want you to miss out on any of that information. So firstly, I introduced our management team in the East. You can see here the team. Hopefully your operations manager is in the room with you right now. And Philippa Hallam, she's our regional operations manager as well. Next, I talked about our resident satisfaction results, also known as TSMs or tenant satisfaction measures. So these are questions that all social landlords have to ask their tenants every year now, and those results get published. So this time around, we scored 89% overall. So we're really proud of that, but we'd love to get that score up into the 90s because your happiness, your satisfaction, that's really, really important to us. And if you look at scores across the region, you can see that around 40% of our courts scored 95% or more, which is absolutely fantastic. But we do have 8 that scored below 80%. So we've had a real focus on those courts lately to try and make some improvements to increase those scores. We've also got some courts that we didn't receive scores for at all. So we got less than 10 respondents. So a big plea from us, if you can please fill out your survey when it arrives this year. It's really helpful for us. Tell us how we're doing, however that feels to you. We've got a real focus on quality and consistency across our courts, and we've rolled out our housing quality standards. It's like an inspection on each court to check things like resident engagement, communication, safety checks, and all the paperwork that's necessary on courts. And then our courts are scored and action plans put in place where necessary to make sure that each of our services and the service on each court is of really, really good quality. We've also this year introduced our people and property visits. So this is where your local housing manager will visit you in your property every year and check that all is okay, that you've got whatever support you might need, if any, in place, and check that your property is okay too. So there's no outstanding repairs or anything that needs our attention. If there is, then we'll take action. So we're trying to be really proactive around keeping your properties really well maintained. Last year, we also had our Resident Satisfaction Fund. So we spent £177,000 across different courts amongst the region on projects that residents wanted. So that included things like greenhouses and planters and sheds and pergolas for gardens, also things like CCTV and equipment for communal lounges. So it was really, really great to see residents getting involved with these projects. So thank you for your input. We also had our In Bloom competition, and we had some absolutely fabulous looking gardens across the region. It was brilliant to see everyone taking such pride in their gardens, and they really, really did look fantastic. So this year we've got a few different In Bloom competitions running across different courts and different patches, from flowers to scarecrows to gnomes. So I can't wait to see what some of you do with that. We also had our Housing 21's 60th anniversary celebrations, and some of you absolutely went to town with those celebrations, and it was really great to see the fun and the laughter out on our courts as well. So that's a really quick snapshot of our year and what we talked about at the conference. I hope to see some of you there next year, but if not, we'll make sure that we do keep you updated on what was discussed. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Corrine Askaroff. I am a Tenancy Sustainment and Arrears Advisor for Housing 21, and I'm responsible for the Helping Hands service and the Helping Hands Hardship Fund that we have here. Part of my role is about maximising income and making sure everyone is aware about what is available to them. And welfare benefits has lots and lots of myths. They have lots of myths around it that sometimes put off people from applying. So some of those myths that I just want to sort of crush right now is some people think that it is possible to claim more than one health benefit at one time. So for example, attendance allowance and personal independence payment. That is not possible. You can only ever claim one. So if you are already claiming one, you have to make sure you get advice before trying to claim another one, because you might end up losing both payments. So just to put that out there. We have heard lots of times where somebody has said they cannot claim pension credit because they have savings. That is not accurate. There is actually no savings threshold for pension credit. It is based on a person's income and what is called their personal allowance. It's very in depth, so I'm not going to explain it. But what I would say is, just because you have savings, please don't put off considering applying for pension credit, because it could be a real benefit to you. So speak to your scheme manager if you'd like to know more about that. We have people say they can't claim housing benefit because they have a private pension. Again, the same as pension credit, you can. It just depends on how much income you have. So again, please make sure that you are looking for some advice and getting a benefit check around that. People saying that they don't claim attendance allowance because they don't have a carer coming in. That is not the case. Attendance allowance is awarded to help somebody remain living independently at home for as long as possible. So you do not need to have a carer coming into your home to be able to claim attendance allowance. So if you have a long-term health condition for more than 6 months that is enduring, then please go and consider making an application for that. And there's also been some confusion around council tax and housing benefit. A lot of people think that if they get housing benefit, they will automatically be awarded council tax reduction, and that is not the case. In most local authorities, you will have to apply for them separately, but you do need to check out what your local authority rules are. Something else to very quickly touch on is social tariffs. So another way of really saving some money could be finding out what social tariffs are available to you. So if somebody is on low income or has particular health conditions, they may be entitled to some financial support through social tariffs. And the best ones are usually through the water companies. They have lots and lots of financial support out there, and it's really pertinent at the moment because water bills are on the increase massively. So please have a look at your local, who your supplier is, and find out what tariffs they have available that might be able to support you. And broadband, if you have internet in your property, then you may be entitled to a social tariff, which does not affect the quality of your internet. It just affects the price and means that you will pay a lower amount. Energy providers do not have social tariffs, but they are obligated by Ofgem to tell you if you could save money by changing to a different tariff, and that will be written on your bill. So please make sure you're reviewing your bills. We do have a document available to you to give lots and lots of information along this line, and there's a picture there for you to see. If you'd like a copy of that document, please speak to your scheme manager, who will be able to provide one for you. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Antony Walker. I'm the head of retirement living for the Southwest. But a lot of my colleagues know of me as a bit of a sustainability geek. I'm very interested in it, very passionate about it. I live in a part of the country where we're a little concerned about rising waters. We have our issues with flooding. And I'm very conscious that I've got two very young children, and I want to make sure that we leave the planet in as good a condition as I found it in the first place. And when you see scary graphs on TV about rising temperatures and things, I want to make sure that I've done everything I can to try and make a difference. So us at home, for example, this isn't something I'm just pushing at work. We've installed a heat pump ourselves, convincing my wife in the process, solar panels, and I've even been trying to make some little videos for colleagues, just encourage them to get into electric vehicles when they're travelling out for their resident meetings and the likes. Housing 21, our motto is do no harm in this regard. So we want to make sure that Housing 21 doesn't have an adverse impact on the environment. At the same time, we're very conscious that we don't want to be pushing up resident bills either. So that is always in our mind when we're thinking through these different trials and pilots. Now, we are testing out heat pumps. You'll have seen of them in the media. They do work well. Ignore some of the FUD that you'll have seen out there. We've tested some air source heat pumps down in Cornwall. So we're seeing how they go. We've connected up actually to a heat network up in Gateshead, where they're using the heat from the old mines, the water up there, and they're pumping that through the district to provide heating. Fantastic bit of technology. We're testing out something called electric wallpaper, which involves infrared technology. And we've also tested some biomass as well, so feeding in wood pellets and burning them as a way of providing heating. Away from that, we're also looking at solar panels. I know lots of residents are very interested on that front. What we are looking at now is when we're replacing roofs, we're looking at whether we can install solar panels as part of that process. One of my schemes in the Southwest has had a huge solar array installed. And because they pay us for their individual electricity as well as their communal electric, they're seeing some really big savings on their bills, or will do, certainly. We've also installed some solar tiles onto one of our new build schemes, which not just really effective, but aesthetically look brilliant as well. Finally, on electric vehicles, because I know some residents are interested and would like to get one for themselves. We know this is a difficult situation because residents might not want to get a vehicle because there's no charger on site. We're not sure about installing chargers because there's no electric vehicles. Well, on some sites we are installing it now, and we are testing it and piloting it out across the country. So we're seeing how that goes, and we're trying to match those installations to demand. A final note on kind of your role and how you could perhaps help us. Reducing energy consumption, of course, is a huge thing. One of the big things we can do is where we have communal gas boiler sites, we are seeing some schemes make agreements to turn off the heating during the summer. So perhaps for a period from May until September or something like that. It's something that can be communally agreed. What we are seeing is quite significant energy savings on that. It is saving residents money. So it's a really good thing to look at. And if that's something you think your court would benefit from, do have a chat with your ops manager. Anyway, thank you for your time. Hope to see you at the conferences next year.